Straight ahead on Law and Crime Daily. An Army veteran found dead in a cornfield, lured by a bogus pizza delivery order.
It was that custody battle. It was retaliation.
The inmate striking a deal, then turning around and implicating his ex-wife. But is he telling the truth?
He's going to pay for by spending the rest of his life in prison.
Could an entire case hinge on the word of a child testifying about a fake pizza order?
It would seem that father and daughter don't have their facts.
And her ex-boyfriend, Chad Cobb, were in a custody battle over their daughter in 2012. At the time, Biggs was working as a pizza delivery driver. According to the state, Cobb and his then-wife, Erica Stefanko, used Biggs' job to lure her to a closed business with a fake order. Then, Cobb killed her. Cobb pled guilty and was sentenced to life without parole. He's agreed to testify against Stefanko with no plea deal. Prosecutors began the trial by showing the jury different locations in the case with the use of drone video. They saw the Domino's where the victim worked, the alleged crime scene, and the cornfield where the victim's body was found inside her car.
Erica Stefanko made that phone call that lured Ashley Biggs to her death. Evidence and testimony will show. When she made that phone call, she used a fake name. It was approximately 11:42 at night. And she had Ashley come to a business that was closed. And not just come to that business, but come to the back door. That is what was instructed in the call for the delivery person, Ashley, to come to the back door. Once Ashley made that delivery, went to the area she was supposed to, that's when she was confronted by Chad Cobb. That is when the zip tie was placed. That is when she was beat. That is where she was thrown in her car.
The defense argued the victim and her ex were in a heated custody dispute over their 7-year-old daughter. And Chad Cobb had all of the motive to want Biggs dead.
2017, he's stewing in that prison. And now he's trying to get out from under full responsibility. Because he wants to drag somebody else down to his level. He wants to get out of prison early. He wants his sentence shortened. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of person that you are going to try to evaluate. Someone that took the mother of his daughter, ambushed her, beat her, and strangled her. And you are going to determine how much truth is in his statement.
Definitely an issue of credibility there. Terry, the motive for murdering Ashley Biggs was a child custody dispute. Why do you think prosecutors say Stefanko helped Chad Cobb kill Biggs?
You know, Brian, I think in this case it was largely jealousy. I think that Stefanko was jealous of Ashley Biggs, even though she was the ex-wife. And I think that's why she participated. And it was probably a little bit of pressure from Chad Cobb. I mean, at the time, we know that they were married, and so he might have tried to pressure her. And it was premeditated and cruel. They worked together on how they were going to do this. So I definitely think that there is motive here, both for Chad and for Stefanko.
Now to a key piece of evidence prosecutors have against Stefanko. In court, the jury heard this recording Chad Cobb's mother made of the defendant allegedly confessing to her involvement.
At this point in my life, I have no purpose for, I'm not trying to manipulate anyone, I'm not trying to anybody, I'm just going to go forward and raise the kids. At one time, I mean, you told me face to face that you made the phone call and you set the meeting up. I mean, that you told me, and there's no lie in that. Like I said, if Chad said this is what we're going to do, and this is your part of it, and I carry out my part of it, I did exactly what he told me to do. And it wasn't because he was forcing me to do it, or like he had a gun to my head. It was because he said this is your part, and this is what you're going to do. Which is how it always was when we did what we were supposed to do. And I did everything he told me to do, and I gave it up.
This recording sat in a safe for 4 years before Sydney Cobb handed it over as evidence after Stefanko divorced her son. At trial, she asked not to have her face shown.
But you felt that somehow Erica was responsible.
Yes.
Did you believe Erica was completely responsible for him being there or partially responsible?
Partially, it took two.
What prompted you to record Erica?
Off and on, through the years, we would have issues. If she got upset about something, she would withhold the kids from us. It would be, until we can sit down and talk, the kids aren't going to be able to come over. This happened several times. We had just come back from vacation, and she wanted to meet with me, to talk. And it was during this time where Chad was wanting the divorce, the tools situation. I decided I was just going to record, tired of always being called on the mat and always having the kids withheld from us.
Cobb isn't getting a plea deal to testify, but the defense asked his mother if she still has something to gain with Stefanko behind bars.
No, like I stated, we'd seen him a few days prior, and they were getting ready to go on vacation.
Was he acting erratically, though?
No.
Did he take the attitude of women should be kept barefoot and pregnant and down on the farm?
No.
Still ahead on Law and Crime Daily, we hear from Chad Cobb himself. Will the confessed killer's story match up? The direct and cross-examination. Welcome back. An Ohio man in the middle of a deadly love triangle is pointing the finger at his ex-wife for the killing of his ex-girlfriend. After his arrest, Cobb says Stefanko placed a fake pizza order at Domino's to lure Biggs to her death.
I remember her saying somebody else's name. I remember it was a Jennifer or Katie, and it was Mick something. Like how you say McDonald's, I don't remember what she said the last name was. And I remember she ordered a pizza. And I remember it struck me as bizarre because she ordered a half pepperoni and mushroom pizza.
After she made the phone call, what did you do?
I was still over by the tree.
Were the kids all still in the car when she made the phone call?
Yes, sir.
As far as you know, did the kids ever leave the car?
No, sir.
Cobb says he was outside next to a tree when Stefanko placed the fake pizza order. He says he watched as Biggs' car pulled to where they were waiting.
With everything that was going on, looking back, she wasn't happy to see me, that's for certain.
What did you do with Ashley's body?
When I had to leave, I picked her up and put her in the car.
Whose car?
Ashley's car, in the back seat.
And when you put her in the back seat, did she have anything on her that was placed on her that she didn't have on her when she arrived?
Yes, there was. A zip tie.
How many?
I only remember one. I remember one around her neck.
Erica Stefanko was on trial for the murder of retired Army veteran Ashley Biggs. Under cross-examination, Cobb says he's not the killer.
Was Ashley in her car when I drove it to our bridge in the field?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Was Ashley already dead?
Yes, sir.
Did you strangle her?
I am not the one that strangled her, sir.
I see. So now you pled guilty, and now you're saying that you didn't kill her. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
You drove the car to the far end of a cornfield, correct?
Yes, sir.
That cornfield was pretty far off the road, true?
Yes, sir. I don't know how far, but decent walk.
The Law and Crime Network spoke to Cobb's former attorney and asked him if he could explain why Cobb denied strangling Biggs with a zip tie.
Well, no, is the short answer. The physical evidence was pretty overwhelming. I was surprised by that testimony. I really don't want to speculate on Chad's motives. I can tell you, based on what I had seen at the trial, that it was clear that there was some difficulties between Chad and his ex-wife. I don't think it's any secret, and it came out that Erica ended up marrying Chad's best friend. I don't think it's any secret. It came out during the trial that there was some custody issues between Cindy Cobb, Chad's mom, and his parents, and her ability to see and have access to her grandkids. I think that certainly didn't help Erica's motive to not get detected, and I think that had some play in Chad ultimately coming forward and agreeing to testify.
I mean, Terry, let's address the elephant in the room first. Cobb pled guilty to murdering Ashley Biggs. Now he didn't do it while on the stand. What's going on here?
You know, we don't see this often, Brian, but it's not unprecedented. Sometimes defendants will change their story. He may have pled guilty in the beginning when he was actually married to Erica Stefanko, but then once the divorce proceedings started, he felt as though he had to turn against her, and then he decided he did not do the crime, but that, in fact, Stefanko did the crime. So he's now trying to save himself, and he's trying to blame someone else. And I think because his situation with his wife changed, he's now changing the whole story as it relates to the murder of Ashley Biggs.
Now, how does that play out, though, Terry? Because the stories don't seem to be lining up perfectly based on different pizza orders or confessions by different people who did or didn't strangle the victim in this case. How does that leave the case?
Actually, I think it leaves some doubt. So it might actually work to Stefanko's benefit if, in fact, there are all of these conflicting stories. The jury is going to be a bit confused about what the real truth is.
Yeah, a confused jury is definitely a benefit to the defense and not the prosecution. Got to continue to watch this trial as it progresses to see how it plays out, though. Thank you. Coming up on Law and Crime Daily, the fake pizza delivery murder. But who placed the order? Hear from a teen who says she knows the real killer ahead. Back now to the fake pizza order murder case. The defendant's 7-year-old stepdaughter allegedly was in the car at the time it was placed. She's 15 now, so we're not going to show her face, but she says she remembers hearing the defendant order a pizza.
I can remember her, and I remember hearing it but not seeing it. And I know she ordered a pizza. I don't remember what she said that was on it. And I can remember that she did not use her name.
Do you remember what name she did use?
No.
Do you know where you were when you heard this phone call being made?
In the back of a car?
Do you know why your dad is in prison?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because he did some not so nice things.
Is it your understanding that he did some not so nice things to your mother?
Yes.
Do you still love your dad?
Yes, I do.
Would you like to see him get out of prison soon?
Yeah, he's my dad.
Do you think by being here that you're helping your dad get out of prison?
No, this isn't his case.
Now, Terry, 7 at the time, 15 now, she testified. That's almost double her age at the time. How credible was the testimony of the daughter?
I think it was fairly credible. That's really something the jury is going to have to look at very carefully. If she was 7 at the time, we have to wonder whether or not she was old enough to actually have her own memories. And one thing that the jury is going to have to figure out, too, is whether or not she is doing this to help her father. One would have to think that she is.
Yeah. Now, father on trial for murder, mother dead. Where does this leave the daughter now?
You know, Brian, we know that she's currently with the grandmother. We know that she's with Chad Cobb's mom. But in the future, we don't know where she will exactly be placed. She could very well be placed in custody with the Ohio Department of Child Services. She could be placed with another relative. You know, I think the ultimate goal here is to have her adopted by a family member, and that family member could very well be the grandmother.
Yeah, of course, while we're keeping an eye on this case, we hope the best for this daughter and this young girl. She's only 15 years old, and so hopefully the state can provide her that help and that wraparound service to ensure this doesn't affect her as much as it probably already is. Thank you, Terry. When we come back, which side will the jury believe? Is an Ohio woman guilty of murder, or is Erica Stefanko wrongly accused after all of these years? The verdict after the break.
The jury has found the defendant, Erica Stefanko, guilty of the offense of aggravated murder. The jury has found the defendant, Erica Stefanko, not guilty of the offense of aggravated murder. The jury has found the defendant, Erica Stefanko, not guilty of the offense of kidnapping. The jury has found the defendant, Erica Stefanko, not guilty of the offense of aggravated robbery.
After 15 hours of deliberations, a jury delivered a mixed verdict in the murder trial of an Ohio woman accused of helping to kill her husband's ex-girlfriend. Then, it was up to the judge to decide Erica Stefanko's fate. She faced up to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the luring of a pizza delivery driver to her death. Army veteran Ashley Biggs was murdered in 2012. Her ex-boyfriend Chad Cobb pled guilty, then turned in his ex-wife Erica Stefanko. Prosecutors say Biggs and Cobb were in a custody battle over their daughter. At the time, Biggs was working as a pizza delivery driver. Cobb and Stefanko were convicted of using Biggs' job to lure her into a closed business with a fake order. Then, Cobb killed her. And the children of the defendant and the victim was in the back seat of the car when this all went down.
The night of the murder, I can still remember you using a fake name to order the pizza to lure my mother into her death trap. You had so much jealousy of and hatred towards my mom that not only did you rob me of my mother, but also my dad. Why is it that my dad bought us airfare to Disney World, but you were conspiring behind his back to do this to my mom? We can never expose the monster you are and the harm you caused me, because in your words, we need to be on the same page, or you would take my family away from me, even my siblings.
And the defendant herself spoke, giving a tearful statement to the court before she was sentenced by the judge.
Your Honor, if it is healing and helpful to Ashley's family and friends, to Grace, think of me as the monster. If it is helpful for Cindy Cobb to exonerate her child for his own actions by putting the blame on me, if that helps these people, particularly the people who are victims, I can accept that. I was most certainly my worst self during my relationship with Chad. I have never been a hateful person. I would never have wanted what happened to Ashley Biggs, regardless of what statements people think that they heard on that tape.
The state of Ohio has elected to sentence and move forward on sentencing on the conviction of aggravated murder. Prior to committing the offense, the defender had not been convicted of or pleaded guilty to a criminal offense. Prior to committing the offense, the offender had led a law-abiding life for a significant number of years. The offense was committed under circumstances not likely to reoccur. The offender shows genuine remorse for the offense. The court is issuing a life sentence with parole eligibility after 30 years.
Terry, was this the right sentence after all the facts came into play?
Yeah, you know, Brian, I think having a mixed sentence is probably the right thing. You know, guilty on some counts, not guilty on other counts. Life in prison is probably the right answer here by the judge. Yes, there were no priors, but this was a murder. She was convicted of murder. And so I think killing the parent of another person also is something that should require a life sentence.
And do you think Stefanko's statements in any way may have impacted the judge or the family in this decision?
You know, Brian, most of the time the judge has already made up when they hear what the impact statements are or hear what the defendant has to say. I think the fact that Stefanko did show some remorse, helped the family, but I don't think as far as the judge was concerned, it helped the final determination.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the sentencing, I don't know if it moved the needle in any way, shape, or form, but thank you for that, Terry. And thank you for joining us here on Law and Crime Daily. We'll see you next time as we discuss justice in America.